On Dalal Street, that's Krisak, and it's up about 18.5%. What a debut. My colleague Sajit Mangat speaks with the management, Vikash Agarwal, as well as Christopher Flood-Nagel. Listen in.
Give us a sense of the kind of growth that you see for your platform and the kind of opportunity that is there for Krisak.
The company has been growing at 35% year-on-year basis, and we believe, looking at the industry, similar trend going forward. Now that Krisak is listed, it will bring more trust to people we work with, and we see a very healthy growth because of that. Overall, the industry and the desire of students studying abroad has been growing year-on-year basis, so that should help both the students and the company in their dreams.
Christopher, UK being one of the biggest business for Krisak, can you give us a sense of the kind of opportunities that you have, and is there any more tie-ups that you are doing with many other universities in UK?
Yeah, so the UK is still our largest destination market, and our largest source market remains India for now. However, as we are expanding into more and more different source countries across Africa, across East Asia, we continue to grow our market share in the UK. So maybe previously we were working with a partner just in South Asia, then we expand to work in Africa as well, and finally also East Asia. So continued growth in the UK is coming from our continued expansion across the world.
Because, Christopher spoke of the fact that, you're looking at sourcing markets. Which are the big ones which are coming in, and what kind of growth that you see from Africa or from Southeast Asia?
Sure. Africa would be the biggest growth market for us. It's an emerging market where the desire of study abroad is much, much bigger compared to that of any other geographies we work with. Southeast Asia is fairly developed, but since we don't have much of a presence, we believe that should also help us grow in that region because our base is very low.
Because also, if you can give us a sense of, are you tying up with more universities in South Asia or Asian countries, and especially we have a trend of students looking at some of the Asian countries like China or Singapore or Hong Kong for higher studies. Is that a market that you're looking at actively?
Yes, we are definitely looking at expanding into Malaysia, Singapore, China as well. At the same time, we are also looking at expanding into UAE and India as a destination as well. There are a lot of universities who have set up their foreign campus in India, some in Mumbai, some in Gift City. So we are looking at getting students from Africa, Southeast Asia and South Asia to India as well.
One of the biggest challenges that comes in with foreign universities is the visa issue. How do you see the visa issue vis-a-vis UK and the US market? Because if I'm not wrong, you have some tie-up in the US as well with respect to University of Texas. So can you give us an idea of the kind of challenges which are there and how you're navigating those challenges?
Yeah, right. At the moment, US has its challenges. There are some turbulence. Trump had stopped a visa appointment, but those things has been revoked. Now things are going okay, but we do believe that there will be some headwinds for US. But at the same time, other countries are a bit more liberal. For example, Dubai is giving a golden visa to the students. At the same time, a few other countries like Malaysia are welcoming students quite a bit. So with a few years, US should also become a more stable market.
All right, so that was the management of Krisak speaking to NDTV Profit on the day of its listing. And let me draw your attention to the latest data from the mutual fund space that you're seeing at the bottom of your screen. And I'm looking at the data release as well. This is for the month of June. And remember, usually at the end of a quarter, you see an outflow from overnight and short-term debt funds. This is something that has occurred once again, but I'm surprised to see that it's a lesser extent than what you normally see at the end of a quarter. So for the overall mutual fund space for the month of June, there is an inflow to the extent of 49,000 crore rupees, and a large part of that is coming through from the equity mutual funds, that is the pure play active equity mutual funds, as well as the hybrid mutual fund schemes. I'll delve a little deeper into each of these categories. First of all, on the equity category, there is an improvement in the inflows net basis. Though the gross inflows have more or less stayed the same in the month of June as well as in the month of May at about 57,000 crore rupees, the outflows or the redemptions have actually come down from about 37,600 crore rupees in the month of May to about 33,360 crore rupees in the month of June, as a result of which the net inflows into actively managed equity mutual fund schemes have come in at 23,587 crore rupees. Now, interestingly, the ones that have gotten a lot of interest over the course of the last several months, something like a sectoral and thematic category, which a lot of people tend to invest tactically into, the inflows are only to the extent of 475 crore rupees in the month of June, on a net basis, which is considerably lower than what you've seen in the past. For example, in some months last year, you saw inflows to the extent of 19,000 or even 20,000 crore rupees in just this one category. What else has gotten inflows? You have the small cap category that has gotten inflows on a net basis of about 4,000 crore rupees. You have mid caps that have gotten inflows about 3,750 crore rupees. And the large and mid cap also seeing a sizable 3,500 odd crore rupees coming through. So all of those categories, interestingly, even multi-cap has gotten inflows of about 2,900 or 2,800 crore rupees. But the biggest inflows in this actively managed equity category has come through in the way of flexi cap funds, which have gotten 5,700 crore rupees. I find it interesting that arbitrage funds in the hybrid category have also gotten a very sizable inflow to the extent of about 15,600 crore rupees, and that accounts for a large part of the inflows into hybrid mutual fund schemes. Now remember that arbitrage funds are being used by a lot of investors in lieu of the short-term debt funds, even though they're not necessarily like to like. They do give you a little bit of a spread above or a little bit of a better return compared with the liquid funds. All right, now beyond that, take a look at the passive space, and here you have index funds which have gotten inflows of about 1,000 crore rupees in the month, and other ETFs, which in the past few months has actually been a focus area because a lot of people have been trying to tactically invest in ETFs, which is equity ETFs. We have inflows of about 844 crore rupees into this route as well. If you compare it with the previous month, though, it is a drop where in the month of May, you saw inflows of about 4,100 crore rupees into other ETFs. And this, by the way, is a pretty wide category. It also includes silver ETFs, which is quite interesting. Gold ETFs have seen an inflow in the month of June to the extent of 2,080 crore rupees, and that compares with just about 290 crore rupees of inflows in the month of May. So it's gone up. Of course, this is a period where you've seen elevated geopolitical tension. And remember, the month of May was a month where a lot of mutual funds were anticipating that there would be a little bit of a drying up of investments because of that uncertainty that did take place. However, you had the SIP numbers that were at an all-time high or very close to that. We've got Ashish Somaya of White Oak Capital joining in to talk about the numbers somewhat. Ashish, I'll just run you through some of the headline numbers. Whereas in the month of May, you had inflows into active equity mutual funds to the extent of about 19,000 crore rupees. That has risen to about 23,600 crore rupees in the month of June, and you have sizable inflows into flexi cap as well as all of the broader categories, small cap, mid cap and multi cap, whereas thematic has seen just about 475 crore rupees of inflows. Is this something that you would have anticipated? There isn't too much in the way of NFOs either. So what is your initial read on the numbers when it comes to equity mutual funds? Ashish, can you hear me? Okay, so we'll try and get Ashish back. So broadly, it seems like it's a decent set of numbers for the mutual fund space. Of course, it's not anywhere close to record high inflows into actively managed equity categories. But I would say that on balance, given that it's the end of a quarter and you see outflows to the extent of about 1,700 crore rupees from debt mutual funds, an inflow of 49,000 crore rupees into the mutual fund space as a whole is certainly a positive. Did you see the numbers? Does anything stand out to you?
I think the thing that stood out for me was the sectoral and thematic fund that you talked about. I think finally people have realized that, it's not the best idea to go ahead and invest in these thematic funds because it's highly cyclical and you need to monitor that constantly. So if you're just investing every month without actually checking your investment, it doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah.
The second thing is NFOs. If I'm not wrong, NFOs this month were also less in terms of launching. So that's quite a small number there as well.
I have the numbers.
But flexi cap is interesting because that's almost month on month 2,000 crore plus increase in that.
No, much more, 5,000 crore.
No, I mean the addition as compared to the last month. So that's interesting.
So we've got Ashish. So Ashish, can you hear me? Just checking.
Yes, hi Alex.
Hi Ashish. So I'm not sure if you've gotten the numbers, but the headline that stood out to me is that there's an improvement in the inflows on a net basis into actively managed equity mutual fund schemes from about 19,000 crore rupees to about 23,600 crore rupees. And this seemingly is on the back of lower redemptions. The gross inflows have remained the same. And also, tactical investments seem to have dried up. And here I'm specifically talking about sectoral and thematic funds. The inflows seem to have come through from flexi caps as well as multi caps and even small and mid caps. What is your reading?
Yeah, Alex, I think, if you look at, say, for example, a couple of months back, in general, you see this whole cyclical behavior. If you see, say, months like April and May, one saw probably less confidence. One thing I'm noticing is that the gross inflow seems to be declining. If you see, say, September last year or August last year, you must have seen that if you just look at equity and hybrid funds, that is the active element, I think at the best time we saw gross inflows like 75,000 crores. And I think in recent times, the gross inflow has been kind of going down. And at the same time, I heard you mentioning that redemptions have gone down. So what is happening is that while gross inflows are going down, redemption is also going down, and that is what is resulting in buoyancy in the net inflows. That is something which is, interesting to watch. Second, I think clearly, confidence is back. You can also see, my expectation is that if you look at, say, for example, July, you will again see gross inflows going up, and I think this is somehow more correlating with the market behavior, which is giving confidence to people. So my sense is numbers will improve further from here on.
Just a quick check, and I'm sure that you yourself have a pulse and you do your channel checks. In terms of the big investors into mutual funds, I'm wondering what the flows are, because in the month of May, a lot of people anticipated that there would be a little bit of a cautiousness because of all the geopolitics. And you mentioned that seemingly things are going back to normal. Do you have a sense of how retail investors have behaved and how maybe the HNIs have?
No, that's difficult to kind of difficult to get a breakup of that. But Alex, to the extent that a large part of our retail base is more the regular investing type, it's counterintuitive. But my own sense is that the retail flow is a lot more sustainable and a lot more consistent. Whereas I think it will be the high value flow which will probably be which anecdotally my sense is that is the one which is more inconsistent, if you really ask me.
Okay. The last point with regard to fixed income funds, I find it interesting that you've seen a durable shift seemingly into arbitrage funds, and I'm thinking that a lot of retail money is going into arbitrage funds now. But at the end of the quarter, Ashish, you normally see a significant outflow from the shorter term debt funds, but I'm seeing on a cumulative basis, fixed income funds have only seen an outflow of about 1,700 crore rupees on a net basis. What explains that?
See, I think, Alex, out of the 1,700, I think a big part is liquid funds. So I wouldn't really read too much into it because liquid funds have the biggest overnight funds and liquid funds. So if you adjust for overnight funds and liquid funds, actually the buoyancy in interest rates has resulted in money flowing across. Like, you could take these short-term bond funds or you take corporate bond funds. They actually have a handsome net inflow. And bulk of the negative is actually accounted for only liquid and overnight, so wouldn't really read too much into that. But yes, on the overall point that fixed income funds have lost material numbers over the years, and that money is not only moving into arbitrage. If you really ask me, let's say, for example, you take conservative hybrid funds, that category has some 30,000 crores. If you look at multi-asset, dynamic, balance advantage, I think bulk of the fixed income flow is not only going to arbitrage, because arbitrage you can see now is nearly 3 lakh crores of assets almost. But even hybrid funds with varying proportions of equity, they are also the ones who are witnessing big gains in terms of inflows.
Just one last point, and not asking you to comment on a specific player, but I'm referring to the significant inflows into the passive space because of a couple of new fund offers that got closed. And I'm guessing that those numbers will come through in the month of July. I'm just wondering whether you anticipate there to be a churn, or do you think that new investors are coming into the fold because a new player has entered, etc., etc., and so you see overall AUM going up?
Yeah. See, my sense is that, if you look at number of investors, number of accounts, number of investors, I think the industry itself is growing leaps and bounds. And I think diversity of players and diversity of strategies will only bolster that further, I have no doubt. But when you look at the rupees crores value, I think that would probably be more explained by churn rather than, because it's only logical that you will not have so many institutions and corporates or family offices just coming into being in a short span of time. But definitely as far as number of investors are concerned, any which way the industry is growing leaps and bounds month on month, and then of course new players and new strategies only augment those numbers. The base of investors is bound to rise. But assets, I think, yes, there will be gains and losses of market shares.
Interesting. Thanks for that perspective, Ashish. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you, Alex.
Okay, by the way, just a little bit of context. I didn't want to ask a specific question to Ashish about a specific mutual fund, but then you need to know. And I was speaking about the introduction of a couple of new fund offers and the closure of those new fund offers for Jio BlackRock. They have mopped up 17,000 plus crore rupees in the new fund offer stage. And so what I was asking was, do you anticipate that this is new money coming through, or do you think that there will be a churn within the system? And you got the answer. All right, let's turn to Ask Profit now. I'm sorry to keep you waiting if you've got questions that you have lined up. And by the way, those numbers that you see on top of your screen, that number is where you can send us a message, or you can call us on the landline number. We've got Vaishali Parekh as well as Nirav Ashar joining us this morning. Vaishali, I'll just quickly come to you on why we're seeing such range-bound action at the index level, and does that change in the near future in your opinion? And how should somebody who is trading in the index react to what you've seen in the recent past?
Very good morning, all of you. So yes, market is actually, as far as the index is concerned, is in a no trade zone. We are seeing some choppiness every single day, but the buyers, that's what you're asking me for days to come. continues to be positive, but we need to respect the support of 25,400 levels. If we see a dip, decisive dip below that, then that could call for a further correction. But till then, it is a sideways. We also need to see index moving about 25,660, which was the previous high, to look for the further targets of 26,000 and so on. So right now, I would say just follow stock-specific movement. Nifty as well as Bank Nifty are in a no trade zone.
Nifty as well as Bank Nifty no trade zone is the view that Vaishali has. All right. Our first caller for the day, Pradeep, is calling in from Bengaluru. Pradeep, hi. A very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
I had Paras Defense on the on my watch list.
Okay.
Apart from being highly overvalued, the fundamentals seem to be on the better side. So I wanted to know what would be the correct level to enter Paras Defense for long term.
Okay, got your question, Pradeep. I'll take this up with Vaishali quickly. Vaishali, on the charts of Paras Defense, what entry level point would you recommend?
So I think overall the way this stock has performed, we have already seen a good surge coming in, and right now once again I think there is a big, was it a bonus? Well, technically I would say it is at a support of 800 levels. Do buy at these 800 because that would make a risk reward ratio very favorable. When I'm looking at the weekly chart also, there is a cluster of support coming at 800. So this support should be respected. Start buying from these levels and wait for it to surge high. About 1,000 levels, it would call for further clarity that yes, it's out of the woods and we can see further run up from there on.
Okay. All right. Let's pull up the chart of Ramkrishna Forgings because that's the counter that we're talking about next. And Aniket Hiramat has got this question. He's bought at a level of 653.5 for the long term, and he's looking at 2027 to 2029. So it's a pretty decent time frame that he's looking at. It's very close to the current market price though. Nirav, sorry to keep you waiting for so long. What's the view on RK Forgings?
Well, good morning and thank you for the invite. I think if the outlook is long term, then definitely he should continue to hold from the current levels. One can expect a decent upside in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, continue to hold is a view on RK Forgings. We've got our next caller from Gujarat. Sanjay is calling us. Sanjay bhai, very good morning. How can we help you today?
Very good morning to you, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I have Himadri Chemicals.
Okay.
At the rate of 54.23 paisa.
Wow, when did you buy it?
That is 13 January 2021.
Wow, okay. Fantastic returns. What would you like to know?
Yes, I know that every time his breakout is coming, but the breakout of 500 rupees and 550 is not broken simultaneously. When should I hold, or that is the...
That's a good question, but Sanjay, when you bought it in 2021, obviously you had a long-term view. Has that changed?
Yeah.
Do you need the money now, or do you still have a long-term view?
No. I have no to worry about the staying here. But every time he is breaking 500 rupees notes and coming down up to 450 level, that's why I saw that some part of the churning or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me go to Vaishali on the charts. Vaishali, when does that breakout and sustained breakout beyond 500 take place?
Of course, I would say it's a very good observation. So, but talking about the chart, yes, rightly so, 540 acts as a very crucial resistance. But today's candle also shows hope that yes, there is a new round of momentum setting in. So some stocks do take a longer gestation period, but I would say continue holding because even when I'm looking at the longer term chart, it's poised for a target of 650 to 700 from here on. So keep 470, 60, that is a support band. So 450 as your stop loss and hold on because I think once it shows a decisive move above 540, you will be looking for higher targets.
Okay, all right. On that note, we have to slip into a very quick break. We'll be back on the other side to take all of your questions, so do stay tuned.
गोल्ड प्लस क्लियर ग्लास, पार हो या नियर, सब कुछ दिखे क्लियर।
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
It's the biggest event that markets and economy are looking at. A possible trade deal between India and the United States, which we could hear about any time soon. It will create a seismic shift in the way these two countries trade with each other. Who is going to come out on top of these hectic negotiations? Stay ahead on the story. Catch all the breaking news and the analysis only on NDTV Profit.
Imports become the exception rather than the norm, and increasingly we do almost last year, for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary, and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100% true, and today private industry can really increase their involvement in R&D.
I am very proud to say that we make, in our categories that we have been supplying to our defense forces, some of the best platforms in the world.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola?
Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need, straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Know Your Company, powered by NDTV Profit Research, shines a light on the biggest stock market movers.
It's the biggest event that markets and economy are looking at. A possible trade deal between India and the United States, which we could hear about any time soon. It will create a seismic shift in the way these two countries trade with each other. Who is going to come out on top of these hectic negotiations? Stay ahead on the story. Catch all the breaking news and the analysis only on NDTV Profit.
Imports
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit, a show that gets all your stock-related queries answered. For viewers who are just tuning in, you can either call us or WhatsApp us on the numbers that are flashing on your screen right now. All right, the next query for the day then, Ravi from Vijayawada is writing in and has 1,000-odd shares of HPCL, that is Hindustan Petroleum, at 400 apiece and wants to know a short-term target for this counter for the next 2 odd months. Vaishali, your view on the charts for the next 2 odd months?
Yes, all these OMCs have been doing well of late. So I would say for the next 2 months or so, right now the trend is intact, and even on a weekly chart, it's looking for a brighter chance of giving a breakout. So I would say right now, keep your stop loss of around below 440 and continue holding, because if we see the stock moving above 460 levels and sustaining about that, that could give you higher targets of 480 to 500 levels. So stop loss of 440 and hold.
Stop loss of 440 and hold is the view that Vaishali has on HPCL. All right, our next caller, Arvind, is calling in from Uttar Pradesh. Arvind, hi, very good morning to you. कैसे मदद करें आपकी?
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, first of all, thanks to NDTV की उसमें एक आपका शो आता है Know Your Company. उसमें से मैंने एक शेयर लिया था सिग्मा SGS टेक्नोलॉजी.
Okay.
ये मैंने 527 रुपए पे लिया था. 200 शेयर थे मेरे पास.
ठीक है.
अब क्या है ना कि लगातार ही 11 दिन पॉजिटिव बंद हुआ. कल जाके थोड़ा नेगेटिव बंद हुआ. आज फिर ये 7% करीबन ऊपर हो गया.
करेक्ट.
तो मुझे बड़ा डर सा लग रहा है कि ऑपरेटर्स के पीछे तो नहीं है कुछ.
नहीं
ऐसा नहीं पंप एंड डंप का.
नहीं अरविंद जी, एक्चुअली आज स्टॉक इसलिए बढ़ा है क्योंकि आज एक ब्रोकरेज JP मॉर्गन ने इसके लिए इनिशिएट कवरेज किया था और इसका टारगेट प्राइस दिया था 800, जिसकी वजह से आज सारे EMS स्टॉक्स जो है वो बढ़ रहे हैं.
और सिरमा का एक और अपडेट है. हाँ. सिरमा का एक और अपडेट है अरविंद जी, जिसमें उन्होंने ये अनाउंस किया है कि वो 1800 करोड़ मतलब 1800 करोड़ का एक मल्टी लेयर प्रिंटेड सर्किट बोर्ड और कॉपर क्लैड लैमिनेट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग यूनिट सेटअप कर रहे हैं आंध्र प्रदेश में. और ये सोर्स बेस्ड मतलब सूत्रों से एक न्यूज़पेपर ने चलाया है स्टोरी, तो उस न्यूज़ पे वो ऊपर जा रहा है.
ओके.
तो आपका सवाल क्या है वैसे, आपको लॉन्ग टर्म होल्ड करना?
मैं सोच रहा था कि मेरे को 25% मिल गया 10-15 दिन के अंदर. तो मैं बुक करना चाह रहा था, पर इतनी पॉजिटिव है तो मैं बुक नहीं करूंगा.
ओके. तो मैं एक काम करता हूँ फिर मैं
टेक्निकल बेसिस पे.
हाँ, मैं वैशाली जी को पूछ लेता हूँ कि उनका क्या राय है. वैशाली, इस समय इस प्राइस पे बुक करना चाहिए?
नहीं, मैं कहूंगी कि होल्ड करिए, बिकॉज कई दिनों से हम देख रहे हैं वॉल्यूम में भी सुधार आया है और आज तो एक्सेप्शनली हाई है. तो 620 का अभी 600 का एक नियर टर्म सपोर्ट बन चुका है. और जिस तरह से मैं देख रही हूँ लंबे टाइम फ्रेम का भी चार्ट, तो मुझे लग रहा है ये 700 750 तक जा सकता है. तो धीरज रखिए, 600 की स्टॉप लॉस के साथ होल्ड करिए और ये टारगेट्स के लिए वेट करिए.
Interesting. So that's the view with regards to where Sirma SGS stands. The next question is a question on DreamFolks, and I think every investor in that company wants to know about this counter. Charan is asking about DreamFolks, who's writing in from Vellore, by the way. He's got 500 shares at 360 a piece and wants to know whether he can continue to hold the counter or not. Neerav, I'll come to you on this one. With everything that's happening around the company, there were news-based sources saying that the company, there are certain banks that have ended partnership with the company. The company came and denied that, but post that they came out with a filing saying that there are certain aspects of contracts which are being shut with some banks, and that will have a material impact on the company. And because of this, we've seen a significant downtick in the stock. In fact, if we can try to pull that up, in the past 1 month, the stock has seen a significant amount of downtick. What is your view with respect to where DreamFolks stand? There you go, it's down 38% almost in the past 1 month. Should a person continue to hold this counter?
Well, I think it's better to exit the counter because there can be no smoke without the fire. And of course, initially there was some kind of a buzz that things are not right as far as the business developments are concerned. And I think now the company has had to acknowledge that there is definitely something which is not right at this point of time. So the better course of action will be to exit and maybe invest into something like a Thomas Cook, which has better prospects.
Right, so exit the counter is the view that Nirav has on DreamFolks. All right, our next caller, Ramchandra, is calling in from Bengaluru. Ramchandra, hi, a very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm holding Suzlon Energy 2000 shares at the rate of 64 rupees.
Okay.
Can I for short term 6 months? Technicals. I want technicals.
You want the technicals. Okay, I got your question, Ramchandra. I take this up with Vaishali. Vaishali, what are the charts indicating for Suzlon for the next 6 odd months?
So Suzlon, well, right now it's currently at 66. It is quite in a positive trend. So I would say if you're looking at 6 months horizon, 60 should act as a stop loss. We would look, once the stock catches momentum, I think this can go towards 74. That would be the near-term target. And 85 would be the next. So for 6 months horizon, I think we'll wait for a target of 85 with 60 as stop loss.
Interesting question coming in from Thomas George, who says that he's a senior citizen writing in from Cochin, and Hitachi Energy is a stock that he's got. He's bought 100 shares at a price of 4,887. He says that he can continue to hold for the next 2 to 3 years, but considering the kind of run-up that you've seen in the price, should he book profits at this stage? Nirav, the question is for you. These stocks, I think it would be a little bit of an understatement to call them over-owned or crowded. What would you suggest?
Well, I think the prospects still continue to be quite good as far as the T&D space is concerned, power transmission and distribution space. And these Hitachi Energy, they are the pioneers in HVDC technology. So I think they should continue to do well. Plus, there's a lot of focus on companies which are into the T&D space, especially with respect to HVDC. We also saw the recent listing of Siemens Energy Limited, which is also into a similar space. So I think at least for the next 3-4 years, I think the outlook is going to be quite strong. So I think he should continue to hold.
Okay, the next question is from Likita, and this is an interesting one. She's asking about BSE for the next 3-month time frame, considering the kind of drop that you've seen in the share price in the recent past. It's up in trade today at about 2% higher, but the question really is whether you want to take a position right now or wait for better levels. Vaishali, on the charts for a relatively short-term time frame, the question is and there are murmurs that perhaps the Securities and Exchange Board of India is going to step in and give additional regulations for the derivative space, and if that results in lower volumes, that is a negative for these exchanges. Having said that, on the technicals, what is the advice that you would have?
For technicals, I think the run-up has been quite substantial, and right now it's on a corrective phase. So 2400, which has been the near-term low, that would act as a crucial support level. But if these support levels break, then this could trigger a further downslide going towards 2200 and so on. So if one has to get into the stock, 2400 acts as a strict stop loss. Maybe things, if they come in favor and we see a bounce, then we are lucky. But if 2400 levels break, then I think the weakness should continue.
Okay, okay. So that's the view on the technicals. Nirav, quick view on the fundamentals. Do you anticipate that this could be a headwind, regulatory in nature?
Well, yes, it does seem so at this point of time, because considering the fact that the kind of undercurrents which we have seen, I think it does seem that there could be some challenges going forward as far as the volumes are concerned. So I think that could impact earnings in the quarters ahead. So I think it's better to stay away.
Okay. By the way, at this stage, the Nifty 50, the traded volume is only 0.22 times, and I'm going to refresh my screen just so that I am absolutely certain about this. The volumes are indeed 0.22 times the 30-day average, and even if there is a spike in the rest of the session, I would hazard a guess to say that half of the 30-day average is likely what you will end up with, because we're more or less at the halfway point of the session. So we have seen a pretty sharp plummeting of the volumes in the recent past. Let's go to Mohan, who's calling us from Hyderabad. Mohan, very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Alex. I'm happy to. Yeah, thank you very much for taking my call.
It's our
I would
pleasure.
like to know about Lloyds Enterprises, sir.
Okay.
I've been tracking this company. Recently got a news that they have acquired 33% stake in gold mining.
Uh-huh.
And when I studied the company, they were the promoters of Lloyds Engineering and they got stake in Lloyds Metals also 12%.
Right.
And 6 months back, they invested 100 crores in Lloyds Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to know the prospectus of Lloyds Enterprises, which is a group head company.
Yes.
Can I hold it for long term or can I book profit?
It's okay.
I bought
So
it for 65.
yeah, you bought it for 65 and you're making a decent profit already. I've gotten your question,
Yes.
Mohan. Let me go across to Nirav just to check if he has coverage. Nirav, is this something that you track, and if so, what is the view?
Well, we've seen Lloyds Engineering, and I think this seems to be a holding company, and it's got investments in all.
No, sorry. Let me amend. This is Lloyds Enterprises.
Lloyds Enterprises, and
Yes.
I think it has got holdings in Lloyds Engineering, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this seems to be a holding company, and they have a lot of investments in group companies. So I think there is a lot of value which can be discovered, particularly in light of the fact that all the subsidiaries have reported very good set of numbers in the recent past. So I think there could be a re-rating on the cards as far as Lloyds Enterprises is concerned. So I think he should continue to hold.
Okay, continue to hold Lloyds Enterprises, the view that Nirav has. The next question is from Aman Saraf, who wants to ask if he can make an entry in Max Healthcare at current levels for the next 2 to 3 odd years. Vaishali, do you think the charts are attractive enough right now to make an entry from a longer term perspective?
Well, I'll just have a look. Max Healthcare.
Yeah, it's Max Healthcare, Vaishali.
Yeah, so the price is 1269. And well, we are seeing a little bit of a profit booking coming in. I think if one has to buy, wait for it to retrace up to 1200 levels. That would be an ideal level. Or you rather accumulate, keeping in mind that this is the support, and accumulate it every day.
Okay, so that's with regards to where Max Healthcare stands. The next caller, Nikhil, is calling in from Nellore. Nikhil, hi, a very good morning to you. I believe you have a question on one Mobikwik.
Yes, ma'am. First of all, good morning to all the panel members.
Good morning, Nikhil.
Ma'am, I bought one Mobikwik share at 316 rupees.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are currently trading at 242 rupees.
Right.
I bought this almost around like 6 months back.
Right.
Should I be selling them or holding the stock?
Okay.
I need advice, ma'am.
Okay, got your question, Nikhil. I'll take this up with Nirav. Nirav, your view on one Mobikwik. We've been seeing a significant amount of downtick in this particular counter, and it's also below its issue price as well. What's your view with regards to this counter, and should you continue to hold?
No, I think you should exit, considering the fact that there have been a lot of negative developments, and it's better to move to some more stable telecom or an IT counter where there are better prospects.
Okay. And where would that be? Just to name a few?
I think he could go in for an Indus Tower maybe.
Okay. All right, so that's the view. Indus Tower is something you can look at. Hopefully that answers your question, Nikhil. Protean eGov is the name of the counter that we're talking about next, and Pankaj has got this next question, and he's looking for a long-term view on this one. Coverage of this company, Nirav, and would you suggest a fresh entry?
Well, not at the moment, because they had a recent setback in terms of the order which for the income tax department PAN cards, and I think they had bid for the level 2, and I think they have been disqualified, and after that the stock has come under a significant amount of pressure. And from what we understand, the company had scaled up its manpower requirements, etc. And I think all the additional costs are likely to get reflected in the next quarter. So I think it's better to stay away from the stock.
Better to stay away from the counter is the view that Nirav has. The next question is from Dinesh Ved, who is writing in from Gurgaon. And he's asking about Coal India and wants to know if the current levels are the right levels to make an entry from a next 12 months perspective. Vaishali, on the charts for Coal India?
Yes, the chart will definitely definitely is at an attractive level because the stock has really not participated in all the rally that we have witnessed in the recent past. But technically, I would say yes, it is a very attractive level. 375 acts as a very good support. Further conviction in the strength of the stock would come only above 410 levels. So keep a range of 370 to 410. So long-term perspective, yes, this should be the view. Add more if 410 is crossed and we are sustaining above that.
Okay, all right. So I'm coming back to you on this next one, and Nidhi's got a question for us. First of all, she says that Mahima is amazing. Mahima, so compliments to you.
Thank you so
much. Yeah, and thanks for the insightful session. So she's asking about Imagicaa, and she's bought 200 shares at a price of 101, and she's lost a little bit of ground here, and she's wondering what to do. It is trading at 66 or thereabouts. So what's the strategy on the charts that you would recommend, Vaishali?
Well, there's nothing happening. It's just been consolidating since a very long time. So I would say rather shift to a better stock, which is already in a good established trend, or wait it out till it crosses 70 and then we can have a relook.
Okay, all right. So that's the advice on Imagicaa. Sorry, it's a hold for now. Is that right?
Yes, it is her hold if time is not the factor. But if I were to make a decision, I would say switch on to the other stocks.
Okay, and what would you recommend at this stage?
Well, so I do like capital goods like ABB, Cummins, Siemens. These are good stocks which have not yet participated. Even in the defense category, if you look at HAL, so frontline strong stocks would be a better option right now.
Got it. All right. All right. Kalyani is calling us from Telangana. Kalyani, very good morning to you. I think it's been a while since you called us. How are you and how can we help you today?
Fine, Mr. Alex. It's been a long time since I've been trying to get to you.
I'm glad that you managed.
WhatsApp, I didn't get an answer.
I'm glad that you managed finally. How can we help you today?
At last I could get your call. My query is regarding Arian Pro Solutions.
Okay.
Is it right to buy at this rate at this time? And my main concern about this is the shareholding is very less at about 28.8% only.
Okay.
And it's a data center stock, so I thought maybe all the other parameters are good, sir.
So when you say shareholding is less, you're talking about promoter shareholding?
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
Shareholding is very less.
Okay, promoter shareholding is low and you're wondering whether that is a concern. Okay,
Yes,
and you'd like to buy this for the long term, is it?
Yeah, long term, sir.
Okay. Okay, Nirav, so first to address that, from what I can see, the promoter shareholding points to a 27% holding. And I'm not sure if that really is something of a concern because that would imply that the float is reasonably high. And so would you buy for the long term? What have you, if you've studied the company?
First of all, I think promoter shareholding being around 27%, it's also important to see whether any holding has been pledged or not. That is one thing. The second thing is to see the FII shareholding or the HNI shareholding. Those shareholders are holding more than 1% in the company.
Nirav, so it's not pledged, huh? 0% pledge.
Yeah. So just pointing that out. Since she's done all the hard work. So, and secondly, the stock has been doing quite well in the recent past. I think it's better to wait for some correction before making an entry into the stock. Maybe I think a 10 to 15% correction should warrant a relook at the stock.
Okay, so that's with regards to where Orion Pro Solutions stand. The next question is from Raghu, who is writing in from Pune and wants a short-term view on Canara Bank. His purchase price is 120 per share and he wants to know how charts are faring for the next 3 odd months. So Vaishali, I'll come to you on this one. Canara Bank is the counter. What's the chart indicating?
Well, right now it's going in for consolidation phase, and if 3 months is the time period that you're observing, keep 105 as stop loss, and once the stock gets above 120, this is ready for a target of 140, 150.
40, 150 is the view. Okay. Our next caller, Shankar, is calling us from Chennai. Shankar, very good morning to you. How can we help you today?
Oh, very good morning, sir. I am purchasing 2,200 shares of
Hindustan Construction Company.
Uh-huh.
I want to know the long-term outlook.
Okay. And I see that you bought at
Technical
levels.
outlook also.
Got it. Our technical outlook is what you're looking at. So when you say long-term, how long is long-term?
No, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, no problem.
Okay. Okay, but any reason why you're looking at the technicals for that long?
I am regularly watching this stock.
Huh.
So it's the correct time to buy. So only I bought last week only.
Okay. So am I understanding correctly to say that you're watching the technicals to see when you can buy more?
Yes, definitely. I want to more buy. I'm ready to buy more.
Okay. So Vaishali, then on the charts, what is the accumulation zone? He's bought at levels of 30 or thereabouts, very close to the current market price.
Well, let me explain this talk to you. Right from the recent high of 55, this had occurred sometime in August 24. And from there on, we've seen a one-way slide, but we have seen a good support base happening at 25 levels. Currently, it's at 29. So as long as 25, 24 support is held on, this stock can do well. So right now, I would say in technical parameters, this is in a higher bottom formation. Near-term support comes at 28. So once you see the stock moving above 35, 38 levels and sustaining above, then you will see a target of 45, 50 levels and so on. So this is how step by step follow the levels, and let's have a relook once it goes higher towards 55.
Okay, so that's with regards to where the counter stands. The next caller, Prasad, is calling in from Kolkata. Prasad, hi, a very good morning to you. I believe you have a question on Time Technoplast.
Good, madam, I was planning to buy either Time Technoplast or Marine Electricals.
Okay.
So I wanted to know which would be a better stock to buy and at what level.
Okay, and what's the kind of time horizon that you're looking at?
Long term, up, say, another 2 years.
Okay, got your question, Prasad. I'll take this up with Nirav quickly. Nirav, your view, Time Technoplast or Marine Electricals, which one would you pick?
I think Time Technoplast has better potential to move up. We've seen a decent run up, but I think the prospects still seem attractive from the current levels also.
Okay, so that's the answer. On Titan, which incidentally dropped quite dramatically after its quarterly update, it's just about flat in trade today. But we've got Suman who's writing in from Kolkata and asking about the long-term prospects on the technicals. And here, Vaishali, he's talking about 5 to 10 years. I don't know if you can look that far, but what would you suggest in the near term at least?
Titan, are we talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, so post its numbers, I think it saw a good drop yesterday. And I would say, well, still there is not much of a damage to the trend. So if long term is a horizon, I would say keep 3,000 should act as a stop loss. And well, we will wait for the stock to go about 3,800, 3,900 levels. And if that is what happens, then I think the next target that we would look at is 400, 4,500. So keep 3,000 as stop loss and run through the stock.
Okay, so that's with regards to where Titan stands. The next question is from Yatish, who's writing from Mumbai, and he has got 1,000 odd shares of Bajaj Hindustan Sugar, bought at 26 rupees a piece, and wants to know if he can hold for the next 2 to 3 odd years. What he's saying is correct. His observation is that the company is seeing a turnaround. The losses are constantly decreasing. I mean, there was a point in time when it had losses of around 268 odd crores, which has come down to 25 odd crores. Nirav, do you think that this is the right counter to play the sugar theme and continue to stay invested?
Well, he's done all the hard work, and I think with the turnaround in sight, I think he should continue to stay invested in Bajaj Hindustan.
Okay, stay invested in Bajaj Hindustan. It is time now for the rapid fire round. Both of you know what this means. We'll toss in many questions at you over the course of the next 2 minutes. The first one coming through is on Union Bank of India, which on the back of its quarterly update, Nirav has lost quite a significant amount of ground. We've got Snehit from Hyderabad who bought at levels of 138 and losing now. Should he hold?
I think he should hold.
Okay, the next question is from Sumesh, who's writing from Kerala, wants to know the current level. If the current level is right to enter into something like a Titagarh railway. Vaishali, your view on the charts?
Overall, we are positive on the railway sector as Titagarh railway can be bought at support 920. Look for a near-term target of 1,000.
920 is where you can see the support for the stock. Hold is the view. Suzlon is the name of the counter. Mithun is writing from Hampi. Long-term views being sought. Nirav, would you buy at this level for the long term?
Buy.
Okay, Venkat from Chennai is asking about Marksans Pharma. 100 shares is what he has. His buying price is 330. He's happy to hold for the next 2 odd years. Nirav, your view on Marksans Pharma?
Hold.
Tourism Finance Corporation. Rakesh from Chandigarh wants to know the long-term view. Any view on this one, Nirav?
Yes, add.
Okay, the next question is on Kitex Garments. Vishwa from Coimbatore is holding the counter at 295 levels. Wants to know if she can hold from a longer-term perspective. Any view on this, Nirav?
No.
IFL Finance at 422 rupees per share. Ramesh from Coimbatore wants to know when it can hit, if at all, 650 to 700 levels. Vaishali?
Near-term resistance comes at 520. Once it crosses, you can look for the next target of 580.
Okay, the next question is on ICTC. Prasenjit from Kolkata wants a long-term view on this counter. Nirav, your view?
No, avoid.
Triveni Engineering, Vineet from Kerala is holding at 374 rupees per share. Short to medium term outlook is being sought. Vaishali?
So, Triveni Engineering currently at 368. I would say keep a stop loss. It's in a downward trend and keep a stop loss of 350.
Okay, so despite having breaking news in the last 1 hour, we have still managed, Vaishali and Nirav, to answer close to 30 questions, 29 to be exact. Thank you so much for joining in today. As always a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of this edition of Ask Profit. Up next is a show that you know and love. Know your company. Do stay tuned. This is NDTV Profit.
गोल्ड प्लस ऑप्टिमिस्टिक रिफ्लेक्टिव ग्लास लगाओ, धूप की गर्मी को दूर भगाओ और बिजली का बिल भी बचाओ।
जनता के पास सवाल ही सवाल है, जवाब ढूंढने को वो देखती है न्यूज और देखती है यहां तो सवालों का मायाजाल है। ऊपर से ये अलग फाइट है, कोई पूरा लेफ्ट तो कोई पूरा राइट है, बीच में मुद्दे के साथ कौन है, जनता को जवाब चाहिए। इसीलिए सवालों की परेड नहीं, मैं लाऊंगा खबरों की कचहरी। मैं शुभांकर मिश्रा, मेरे साथ देखिए कचहरी रात 8 बजे सिर्फ एनडीटीवी इंडिया पर।
It's the biggest event that markets and economy are looking at. A possible trade deal between India and the United States, which we could hear about any time soon. It will create a seismic shift in the way these two countries trade with each other. Who is going to come out on top of these hectic negotiations? Stay ahead on the story. Catch all the breaking news and the analysis only on NDTV Profit.
Imports become the exception rather than the norm. And increasingly we do almost, last year for example, of the contracts that we signed of record 2,09,000 crores, 81% was awarded to the domestic industry. Our intent is to manufacture in India, preferably with design also in India.
I am so elated to be on the same screen as the Defense Secretary and I get a chance to talk about what he said.
In certain areas, like for example, artillery guns and armored vehicles, or in some categories of missiles like the BrahMos and the Akash, we've come of age.
What Defense Secretary Sir said is 100% true, and today private industry can really increase their involvement in R&D.
I am very proud to say that we make, in our categories that we have been supplying to our defense forces, some of the best platforms in the world.
The markets move fast.
And so should your portfolio. Expert insights, real-time stock picks.
Do I buy Ola? Should I hold CDSL for the long term?
Buy, sell or hold.
The answers you need straight from the experts.
Callers from India and across the world. Connect live, ask, decide and invest wisely.
Your portfolio, your future. Ask Profit.
Do you really know the company you invest in? What is the real picture behind presentations and claims? Is the outlook as rosy as the company claims? Do you like companies with deep moats? Do you like unique businesses? This one, which we are going to analyze today, Mahima and myself, will be one of those. Welcome to KYC. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to today deep dive into BLS International. We've been itching to do this actually for a while. Mahima's bias has stopped me from doing it. But nonetheless, we've managed to pull them together today. So let's quickly start off with what I want to know. I'm going to first try and understand what the volume growth is going to be like, because volume growth in FY25 was extremely strong. Can that sustain? Also, while I've not written it here, pricing, how is that evolving? Because again, we've seen very strong pricing growth in FY25. Mind you, BLS International is in the business of visas. It's very similar to the business that VFS does. If you've been to a VFS visa center, you'll know exactly what they do. So a clear competitor to a VFS. So you'll understand what I mean by a volume growth and by a pricing growth. More people coming in for visas will mean volume growth, and whether they have the appetite to increase the price that they charge to each person walking in will be value growth. So both of those will determine how the top line growth for this company evolves. Now, the second piece is new centers. How have they contributed? There are two levers here. One is you have existing centers which are getting self-operated by a BLS International. There are cost savings which are accruing and which is enabling them to do better EBITDA. And the second is they're opening up new centers, which is allowing them to have more customer walk-ins, and the volume growth that we just spoke about is being driven by that. The third piece is there's $1 billion of tenders which is up for grabs. It's a 2,000 crore top line company. So $1 billion can move and shake pretty much everything. Now, all of those should actually come up for renewal over the next 12 to 18 months. These are opportunities for BLS International, either to renew or bring in new clients. What's the success rate like is what I would want to understand on these renewals. Now, chunky customer concentration. This is a risk. The Spain visa that they actually have rights to is a chunky customer. If it were to go away, that is a key risk. What are they doing to hedge for that risk is what I want to understand. Efficiencies emanating from acquisitions. They've acquired a Turkish company called iData, which allows them access to nearly 20 countries. And that is a positive. It's a big positive. But what does this do? And how quickly do the efficiencies start to drive through? This has contributed to around 20% of the absolute EBITDA growth of FY25. I'm trying to understand whether this acquisition has still more efficiencies left to squeeze out and which will drive EBITDA going forward as well. What are the global opportunities that they are looking at in other businesses? Mind you, BLS International has also ventured into some other businesses. Logistics, for example, caters to banks, goes and helps banks out with regard to where senior citizens are concerned, providing banking services at home. So some of those, and they're looking at global opportunities in similar businesses as well. I'm not sure if banking is the one they're targeting, but nonetheless, they are looking to diversify. So what are those opportunities coming in from abroad? And this is the big one, competition from VFS. VFS has a name, has a brand, has scale, has technology. all of that, which is much better than a BLS International. It's also unlisted, mind you, and it is Blackstone backed. So when you have that kind of a competitor, can you continue to sustain the kind of numbers that you have? Last off, usage of cash and the return ratios. There's plenty I want to know about this company. So probably we'll do a longer chat with the management, but how are they going to use the cash? What are the return ratio goals going to look like? They are guiding for a 30% ROC. Can they continue to clock that is really the question. Right. But I'm going to toss it over to Mahima because she's going to explain exactly what BLS International does for you guys.
Right. So basically, as Harsh rightly mentioned, the two kind of services that the company provides is first visa and consular services, and the second one is the digital services. To talk about the visa and consular services, basically it's one of the largest player globally, providing the government to citizen services, and has built trusted partnership with embassies as well as governments worldwide. Plus, it's a 19+ industry experience that they have, and they've built a broad network spanning across 70+ countries already. Plus, it has global offices working for government and diplomatic missions. The core services include outsourcing of visa processing, document verification, attestation, biometrics, e-visa, etc. And providing citizenship services also include your passport renewal, your document authentication, legalization, citizenship renewation, as well as citizenship renunciation and notary as well. So these are the kind of services that the visa and consular services bracket includes. But in terms of the digital services, basically that is providing digital as well as physical again, government to citizen, B2C, B2B services at grassroots levels in India, and this includes your services. Of course, this is one of the leading players in the services like business correspondence services, as well as it includes your e-governance services and assisted e-services as well. So that's the digital part of the business. Now, in terms of how they operate, overall they enter into long-term contracts. So your most of their contracts are exclusive and are long-term in nature. So that includes your 5 to 10-year contracts. So that is an important one. In terms of their overall network as well, as I mentioned in the start of the show, that it has a 70+ countries network that it is operating in. There is 46+ government clients across the globe. There is 19+ years of global experience, plus 44,800 business correspondents across India. There is 142,000+ touch points for their e-services and 1,000+ store spread across India. So that's the overall network that they have in India and across the globe. In terms of their subsidiaries as well, they've got BLS International, where there's 100% holding, which is your visa and consular services, and there's BLS e-services that takes care of the business, the digital part of the business. So that's everything that one needs to know about the counter as to what it does and what it actually is into providing services like.
Now, I want to just add a little bit here. So, of course, there are 45 countries that BLS International operates with. But what's the scope like?
Correct.
How large is the opportunity? So, VFS does 140 countries.
Correct.
So, that's how large the opportunity is. But, of course, VFS is a very strong competitor in those terms. So, so just want to kind of cover that as well. But, let's not delay this. Let's quickly look at the metrics that we'll cover this morning for you. We'll start off with the income statement, the balance sheet, the cash flow, the return ratios, the shareholding, street cred, street coverage, as well as valuations and guidance. We'll try and cover all of that. With street coverage, we'll also cover guidance. I'd like to keep valuation as point number 8 if we can. Street coverage and guidance will be point number 7. And there are reasons for that. You'll get to it. And we'll thereafter speak with Shikhar Agarwal, who's the Joint Managing Director at BLS International, to talk to us about numbers. Mahima, you want to start off with the income statement?
Right, so income statement definitely is a thumbs up for this particular counter. I mean, if we take the trajectory in terms of the revenue, it's grown from 850 crores to almost over 2,100 crores in 2025. From 2022 to 2025, it's seen a 3-year CAGR of 37% in terms of the revenue growth. The EBITDA growth has also been significant, a 3-year CAGR of 80% from 107 in FY22 to almost 629 539 crores in FY25. In terms of margins, significant amount of improvement there as well, constantly increasing from FY22 at 12.6% to 28.7% in FY25. The net profit trajectory has also been, has seen a good growth, a 3-year CAGR of 69%, from 111 to almost 539 crores in FY25. In terms of the revenue breakup, just to give viewers a perspective, the two businesses that I talked about, the visa and consular services is 75% and your digital services is about 25%. And the volumes that Harsh was talking about is also significant in terms of the visa volumes. It's seen a growth of almost 31% in FY25 itself. In terms of new applications also, net new applications also, that also saw a growth of almost 35 odd percent. So, overall a very good picture when it comes to their overall income statement. So a thumbs up there.
Yeah, and we will tilt more towards the more material parts of the business, which is visa and consular, because that's where a bulk of the revenue comes from. That's also a more insulated business compared to others. So, and less competitive. Of course, there's VFS, but less competitive in relative terms. Let's look at the balance sheet very, very quickly. Again, looking very healthy from a balance sheet standpoint. I want to cull out 2-3 points here. The borrowing number is at around 180 crore. It's a 15,000 crore market cap company. So really no concern where the borrowing is concerned. There's a small spike in the short-term borrowings to 25 crore rupees. That's likely a payables number which is reflecting, which is also in fact impacting the cash flow positively, of course, given that it's a short-term liability which reflects. In terms of the cash balances, it's at 740 crore. So on a 15,000 crore base, it has 740 crore of cash. 5% of its market cap is sitting in cash on the balance sheet, and it does this regularly. It generally has anything between 450 to 750 crore of cash on its balance sheet. At least that's the trend in the last 3 years. So something again to keep your eye out on. But it looks like a healthy balance sheet, no concern. Where they invest cash is something Mahima will likely cover.
Right, and I think, as you rightly mentioned, the cash is enough to cover their debt. So I think that's not at all a problem there.
Correct.
But yeah, talking about cash flow, well, it's a thumbs up here as well, because overall cash flow from operation has seen a significant amount of jump in the past 3 odd years, from a 261 crore to almost 829 crores. So that's a good number there, a healthy number there. And cash flow from operations to PAT also, that's a good ratio overall if we see. In terms of net cash flow, FY25 was negative because they've invested a big chunk of amount in buying that iData part, and overall also they've done some investments in fixed asset purchase as well. So that's why it's a negative number. Otherwise, it's not a concerning part. Overall, a healthy cash flow statement. So thumbs up there as well.
And they generally use these cash balances to acquire companies.
Internal accruals,
It's a general part of the way they do business. So you'll continue to expect that to happen. So if you don't like that part of the business, something you should know, that they invest in acquisitions all the time. The question, of course, you should be asking is what do they do, or rather what do these acquisitions yield in terms of return ratios? And let's quickly point that out to you. Let's try and understand what the return ratios look like. There you go. Very healthy, right? Of course, it's fallen from the 28% high of FY24, but a 20% plus ROC on a consistent basis over the last 4 years just kind of brushes off any concern in terms of capital allocation that the company is making. Can we have the ROE ratios as well? And I will try to pull them out as well. There you go. So that's the ROE. So ROE, in fact, just increasing sizably as the years have rolled by. We're now at 30% plus. Question will be, is this sustainable? But shareholding, Mahima?
It's been on the constant rise, so it should ideally be sustainable, and that's something, of course, we'll ask the management as well. But in terms of shareholding, it's a well-held company. Promoters have slightly reduced their stake from that 74% mark to a 70% mark, but it's a well-held company overall by promoters. A 70% holding is more than decent. In terms of FI holding, slightly gone up in the past 3 years from a 7.5% to almost a 10% mark there there. In terms of DI holdings, not much of DIs are holding this particular counter. The March 25 number indicates a 2% odd holding by DIs, and public holding has remained constant from 17% to it went to around 19.6% in by March 24, but that's again come down to around 17 odd %. But overall, promoters have faith in the company, and that's been shown because it's a well-held company overall, because they hold around 70 odd %. So a thumbs up there as well.
Yeah, the spike in the number of shareholders surely might raise a few eyebrows. But a couple of things which we missed speaking about, Mahima, before this show. 16th Street has bought been increasing stake in this company, which is a positive. LIC is one of the DIs which have added a 1% stake in the quarter ended March 2025. So that's the other thing. Two things that you should look out for, because again, two interesting investors have bought in, and that kind of indicates or gives you some kind of direction as an investor. Let's also quickly look at how the street cred is and what has the stock done. Of course, in the short term, there's been some pain. 1 month down 2%, and even over the last year or so, as the graphics roll, you'll see. But over the year or so period, there has been pressure on the stock. But when you're looking at the 5-year picture, there's been a very strong rally in the stock. So 5-year performance has been outstanding. We've given this a neutral, of course, given that the longer term performance is strong and the shorter term performance has been difficult. But street coverage.
Right. So in terms, in terms of street coverage, there's not a lot of analysts that cover this counter, and that's one of the reasons as to why we are staying a little cautious in giving it a neutral rating. There's just one buy with an upside potential of 68% as per what Bloomberg suggests. So that's with regards to where the street coverage stands. But guidance, of course, a strong guidance. The management is confident of sustaining the 30% plus margins in the visa and consular business segment. But we'll have to wait. We'll have to go ahead and ask the management with regards to the blended margin for both visa as well as the digital business. They've said that they're at least targeting growth anywhere between 15 to 20 odd %. And the one interesting part that I saw in their con call was that they are saying that they'll continue to evaluate acquisition targets because they are seeing some potential counters which they can go ahead and acquire. So we'll also ask them as to which of these counters are in which area are they going to go ahead and expand in. So this is with regards to where the guidance stands, Harsh.
Right. Now let's pull out valuations, probably one of the most important metrics. When you're looking at valuations, it's currently trading at 31 times trailing 12 months. FY26 is roughly 24 times. So 1 year forward, they've guided for around 15 to 20% growth for some time in the future. And therefore, we've kind of just extrapolated that valuation. But it's also basis the average Bloomberg analyst, which is just one analyst covering the stock. So the 5-year average in terms of price to earnings is 30 times. Doesn't look particularly expensive. But at the same time, you want to be cautious because there are no competitors and there is VFS, which is a big unlisted competitor of this business. Now, I want to also quickly cover analyst recommendations. Just one buy call on this one. Potential return being 68%. Again, we'll give this a neutral. We'll be cautious about this because there's only one analyst covering it. So we've given this a neutral. The total rating, let's quickly stack it up and let's give you a summary of all of the metrics we've spoken about. That's of course the street coverage, but income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, all of those were a thumbs up. Even return ratios a thumbs up. Very impressive across the board with regard to that. Shareholding is a thumbs up, 70% held. Street cred, street coverage, valuations all in neutral. Comes to 6.5 on 8 with no thumbs down with regard to where this company is concerned. Let's quickly go across. We have Shikhar Agarwal joining us, Joint Managing Director, BLS International. So I want to first understand from you. Firstly, welcome, good morning. We're in a rush because we're crunched for time. I want to quickly first understand from you, what's the tender pipeline looking like? What's the win rate that you have? How many of your clients currently are up for renewal in the next 12 to 18 months? Is there a concern on that count? Give us that perspective.
So I think I can start that up with telling you the 5-year trajectory. If you see last year, our revenue has grown by 30% and our profit after tax, which is what we actually see, is grown by 66%. So we have delivered 540 crores of profit last year, which was a 66% increase compared to the year before. If you see the volumes, there has been a steady growth in volumes over the last 5 years. We have delivered 4 million visa applications last year. Now we are proud to say we work with more than 40 client governments across 70 odd countries, around the world. As you see, in the last 1 year itself, we have won more than 10 new contracts with different client governments. Over the next few years, we've been telling, there are multiple client governments, coming out with new tenders from the existing market. There is upwards of $2 billion tenders that are coming up, wherein our competitors are the incumbent. Regarding our revenue, we have already renewed most of our contracts. So we have a clear visibility for 5 to 7 years at least. Some of the contracts that we have won are for 10 years. So we have a clear visibility on the potential of revenue that we have. And on top of that, the growth in the market, if you see, we have just captured 17% of the market. And if you see the growth in the market, there's at least 14% growth that is happening every year. And this industry by 2029 is points to become a $3.5 billion industry. So that is why we see a major growth for us coming in.
So, sir, $1 billion of potential opportunity over the next 12 to 18 months. How much of your clients are up for renewal? How many rather? Apologize for that. But in terms of contract size, and what is the potential for you? How much are you expecting to win out of this $1 billion?
See, 90% of our contracts we have already renewed in the last 1-2 years. So we have a clear visibility on our existing revenue. All the contracts that are coming up for renewal are newer contracts, some of which, our competitors are incumbent. Some new governments are going to come out with tender, which they have not outsourced till now. So we expect now governments, are taking note. They want to divide the world into multiple players. So we feel that we are a well-established company now to, take this market share.
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, hi, Mahima also joining in. Always a pleasure speaking with you. You just mentioned that, you already did a 30% growth in terms of FY25. Your guidance is the growth between 15 to 20 odd %. Do you think that you'll be able to cross that 20%